Hi guys, Hari here, doing another VOD, this time banning draft matchmaking game. Last time I did banning draft, I started the video at the beginning and I felt like I didn't have enough to talk about throughout the entire banning and picking phase this time, so I started it later and now I feel like I'm kind of behind, so I'm going to be trying to catch up. You can see the bans. Hellborn had first pick. They first picked Plague Rider, which is an interesting one. I kind of would have expected them to take Myrmidon here, but they didn't, and I was happier for it. So then we took Myrmidon and Voodoo Jester. In banning draft, I think picking up support is usually a really good call early because there's usually not very much of it. This pool actually has a decent amount, but still can hurt, especially when I think Myrmidon's probably the strongest hero in this pool, or one of the strongest, at least at this point, because... Or actually, no, I think he had been fixed. I don't know, hard to say. Anyway, then they went and picked Gauntlet and random Dark Lady. So at this point, I'm expecting Gauntlet to be mid. So then it's our pick again. Our yellow random's War Beast, and purple has to pick something up for me. I have him give me Tundra because I think Tundra will be strong against Gauntlet mid because I'm not really going to get blown up. And I remembered that I had a request to play Tundra a while ago. So that's the point at which I started recording the video. And then they went Defiler Soul Reaper, which kind of threw me for a loop because now I expect Defiler to be mid. Although Gauntlet Soul Reaper just doesn't seem like a very good lane, but whatever. Their picks are kind of haphazard. There's not really a lot of synergy. And then our last pick, there were pretty much a lot of options that Orange could have picked that I would have been fine with. I'm usually not too picky with pubs and synergy, but Engineer was actually quite a good pick because with Tinker, mine, and Warbeast's minions, we should be able to push down towers pretty easily in the mid game, which is when we're probably going to have to win because we don't really have that great of late game potential. I mean, Warbeast is good, but he's certainly not Dark Lady, at least in my opinion. Yeah, so that's pretty much how that worked out. So I plan on going mid with Tundra and facing Defiler, and then we will have a solo bottom and two top. I had figured that Engineer or Myrmidon would solo bottom. Myrmidon has short range, so I guess it's not the best call in the world, but I've done it before and I think it's pretty effective. Engineer would probably be the best call, but he actually went and bought wards right away, so that indicated to us that he doesn't really want to. And the Myrmidon's not responding, and he is the guy who randomed and hasn't really said much other than some random trolling. So Teal is just going to take bottom. Not that I don't think Voodoo Jester is a solid solo. He's fine. He can still use farm to some extent. He can certainly use the levels. He has good attack range, animation, and damage. It's just I felt like he would have been better suited in the dual lane because he has a good lead-in ability with Acid Cocktail, which can set up Weed Field or Turret, Keg Stun, etc. more easily than leading with Magic Carp can, but it should still work. So anyway, my items, I bought a shield because I expect to be against Defiler, and that should mitigate a fair amount of harassment that she puts out. Then just some minor totems and regen. Relatively standard. Yeah, pausing here real quick, just because I'm kind of getting some lag. This was right after the servers went down for the patch and came back up. In fact, I was having trouble finding a server for a while, and then finally found this one, so a little lag isn't totally unexpected. Just hotkeying the courier and myself as usual, which is actually kind of a mistake, because I'm going to end up having to hotkey my minions anyway, so hotkeying the courier to 2 is kind of pointless. I should just be using tilde for the courier all game here. Which kind of gets into something I guess that's worth mentioning. So this, in playing Han, is probably... yeah, here we can see the room, but there's at least 2 of them up there, so I'm telling him just not to go for it. I'm just going to take a peek and hope that it's nothing important. It turns out to be a regen, which is fine. In playing Han, this is probably the second time ever I've played Tundra, and the first time was quite long ago, and I'm just assuming that. I don't actually remember having played him, but I'm going to assume that I have. I played Rexar at least a few times in Dota, so I mean there's that. But this does lead to one interesting thing. In Dota, at least when I played, I don't really know anymore, Rexar's third ability was a passive, which is not the case now. I guess it's an active. So you're going to see me completely fail to use this ability this game. I'm sorry about that. Again, I just, yeah, wasn't really used to it. I haven't really played Tundra too much. Here I kind of am making a mistake. I mean, the first Piercing Shards is fine. Ice Shards, whatever it's called. Because I had full mana, and going from full mana to the point where you're regenerating mana is always a pretty safe bet. But there, I just so badly wanted him not to deny that one creep because I knew it was coming as well, that I did something I probably shouldn't have, which is used my second shards, because now I'm completely out of mana and going to be so for a while, which is going to make it really easy for this Defiler to harass me and very difficult for me to harass and get some more last hits that I'd like right here. My reasoning was probably, well, if I just get a few kills quickly, I can get, the 2 to 2.5 minute bottle easily enough, and then any mana problems I've had will be solved. But unfortunately, I'm kind of failing in lane. Yeah, we had another pause there because yellow was having the same lag problems I was. So yeah, it ends up being a pretty bad decision. Now I'm kind of in a bad spot in lane because this Defiler's definitely not an idiot. He's using wave pretty effectively while he still has plenty of mana and doing a fine job last hitting, and I'm kind of forced back because there's not really much I can do at this point without having shards, unless the stuff's on my hill. But you can see here, he's really making me pay for even hanging around. I should have gone up the hill and waited to come back down. I really thought the creep would drop faster. Yeah, so burning through my regen. Fortunately, we get a first blood top on their plague, which is nice. I mean, we do have a dual ranged up there, so it should be a pretty good lane to begin with plenty of offensive potential. So yeah, just gonna be me in lane for a little while, getting beat by Defiler. Normally I do a pretty good job of dodging Defiler waves when I play as a ranged hero, because I used to play Defiler a lot, so I'm pretty used to understanding exactly when she's going to wave or where she's going to wave. But as a melee here, it's just so much worse because I actually really have to go up to the creep wave like so, and she knows that I have to do that, and she can come get it. Of course, it wouldn't take two hits. I would have had to get the third on that ranged creep after the wave to kill it, and of course the Defiler's not going to miss uphill because that would be ludicrous. So yeah, don't get that. Let's see. There's an illusion rune top. Strangely enough, the Defiler hasn't grabbed it yet. I'm pretty sure that they have rune or wards, so I'm sure that she knows there's a root up there. They probably have their wards bottom, so that she doesn't know what is up here, but I would assume she would have grabbed it by now after she nuked down the wave instead of maybe denying that last creep. So I'm going to take it because I certainly don't want her to have an illusion rune harass me even more. Here, I try to grab the slow to come with me initially, because I figure I can do some decent harassment if I come from behind with my illusions and hitting her well slowed. But of course, in the box I grab somehow doesn't get the coral. So now I need to hotkey my units. I should be, at least, and I should, be controlling them a little bit better, but I think I don't have them hotkeyed yet at this point. I think I'm probably working on that right now. So I want to have the coral is number 2, myself is 1, and the bird is 3. And then, like I said, I'll be using the courier as tilde. Yeah, so the Defiler has her bottle. Mine's on the way. I really wish we had a flying courier by now, but we don't. Which is always really unfortunate because it's just going to make the timing so much worse. Because now she's going to be able to go get the 4-minute rune. Even if I see where it is, I don't really have the choice. So it's just little things like that. Like, as a support hero, especially since you got first blood top, there's no reason you shouldn't have already upgraded the courier. It just makes such a big difference by 4 minutes. Yeah. Back in lane, have some mana for piercing shards now. Unfortunately, kind of foolishly use it there, not knowing that it'll make that range creep and deny range. Again, not much experience playing Tundra. This Defiler really annoying me, and my last hit range really annoying as well, because there's been probably like 4 last hits that I've hit down to completely black, so basically 1 hit away. This time I go to grab myself a power supply, but the courier's still not upgraded, so I ask, can we please get a flying courier now, which they do. Unfortunately, as soon as they upgrade it, whoever does, or well, orange upgrades it, and as soon as he does, someone takes it bottom, which is fine, I guess, but just kind of, like, I really need it mid, because I really need to get the regen now, so that I can actually fight for this next rune. But the fact that it's going to take a while is going to mean that I'm probably not going to be able to fight for the next rune. And as it turns out, that was just War Beast breaking himself. Well, I guess health regen, which he needs, although I don't really understand how he can need health regen. Maybe he was ganking bottom. And boots, which are not really the most important thing for War Beast at this point. So now, the courier should be getting back to base. Yeah, here, Hit a little aggressive there. I do get a block, but if you looked at my health, even if I had 20 more damage taken, I still wouldn't have died. And there was the chance to miss uphill anyway. So I was playing maybe a little bit more aggressive.